What's going on, guys? Chunky finally back here on my channel. It has been so long in the quest to discover new content, but I had to come back for this. This is my review of Joker. Now, I'm going to try and keep this as short and sweet as possible, as I really do want to avoid spoilers. This is indeed a spoiler-free review. But I'm doing this review today to highlight just how important this film is. Now, you might have seen all those raving reviews, IGN, The Guardian, 10 out of 10, 5 out of 5, but you also might have seen all the reviews that have come out since. Controversial. 2 out of 5. I walked out. This is boring. I don't understand what everyone's talking about. Now, hang on. Now, let's take a step back and really assess this film for what it's worth. Now, if you didn't know already, Joker is the portrayal of one of the most famous villains in history, the iconic Batman villain, the Joker, played by so many great actors before the fantastic Joaquin Phoenix, and I was really interested to see a realistic take on such a larger-than-life character, and I think here it really succeeds, and a lot of that is thanks to Joaquin Phoenix. Now, I don't want to go too much into the story itself. The story is pretty straightforward in the trailers and goes through the Joker, or Arthur Fleck in this instance, as he sort of begins to lose his mind. He's already in an unstable position as it is, and things just happen. He has a really bad few days, if you want to put it that way, and basically gives in to the insanity that's been hiding inside him all along. Todd Phillips hasn't actually directed any dramatic films up until this day. He's directed The Hangover, and he wanted to direct something serious, and I think he really succeeded. This film is so well shot. It is so prolific in how it presents its characters. It is very graphic. It is very unforgiving about who it is and what it wants to say. And I do understand some of the controversy. I was actually genuinely scared by Joaquin Phoenix's performance, and I won't explain why he does things that he does. I wouldn't say that's spoilt for me, but the film actually does a really great job at introducing exactly why he behaves the way that he does, and it has something to do with his laugh. And you might have picked that up from the trailers. I sort of did as well, and it's not really spoiling it. Obviously, the Joker is someone who has that iconic laugh, and Joaquin Phoenix really nailed it, but he also really nailed a serious character who's sort of asking for help, and not really being given that by society leads him down this dark path. Now, that's obviously the gist of the story, but just overall, so many iconic performances from characters, even like Robert De Niro, who didn't really have a large role in this film. I just think it speaks volumes about mental health, about what society has to say about people who suffer with mental health issues, and really, at the end of the day, how we handle these people and how we should look at ourselves in turn. And I think it's controversial for that reason. And I'm not saying people who are giving it negative reviews don't necessarily understand that. I just think that there is something important that comes from this film. There is something important this film's trying to say, and I think we're probably grasping onto those negative aspects. We're grasping onto, obviously America's had a dark history with the Joker character. Obviously, The Dark Knight led to, a shooting in a cinema, and it's terrible. There is no justifiable reason for that real-world violence, but I do understand that Joker is trying to emulate that feeling of hopelessness in a world that just doesn't understand you. And I think sometimes we shouldn't praise those people, and we shouldn't actually acknowledge those people as being a hero or an icon of sorts, but we should also understand that people like that do exist in some capacity, and that those people should be taken seriously instead of being laughed at or mocked or even actually insulted. Now, I've been pretty vague about this. I've been talking more about the controversy of the film rather than the film itself. I will briefly describe. It is well shot. Joaquin Phoenix's performance is dark, it is driven, but it is actually incredible to laugh, to cry at the same time, to bring all these emotions, the frustration, to try and look like you're okay, but sort of keep everything under the surface and give that subtle, nuanced feeling of frustration and confusion is just incredible to see. And it's actually one of the better performances, and I think he will get nominated for an Oscar. Whether he'll win it or not is obviously open to debate, but I do think that he should be nominated and actually acknowledged for a performance that really, really brings all the emotion and all the legitimacy to a character as iconic as the Joker. I do think this film is worth watching. I feel because this film is actually so open to interpretation, and I won't explain what that means. That's for you to see, and that's for you to find out and think about once you watch the film. But I do recommend this film is worth watching. This film is unapologetic. It's violent, but it has something important to say. And at the end of the day, it will make you think. And that is what good films do. Some films are supposed to be mindless. Some films are supposed to pass the time. But every once in a while, a film like Joker comes along that just breaks the boundaries and pushes things forward. Now, people, I want to end the video with a personal issue that I have. Not necessarily with the film, because I didn't really have anything with this film. Anything wrong at all, to be honest with you. The story is very well paced, and to give you my rating in advance, it is a must watch. I don't really have a score for it, but it is a must watch in that sense. But I did want to talk about the fact that a lot of people are calling this film controversial because it's encouraging violence. Now, visually, I see that. But this film encourages violence as much as any other property, any other violent IP or property, be it film, game, TV show, anything violent. It sort of encourages violence in that sense. And people think that this film shouldn't be praised because it is so dangerous. But I think that's very hypocritical, and I think that some of the people, I've read a few reviews, I'm not going to name names, but I've read a few negative reviews that don't necessarily like the film for its content and for its message. It promotes violence. Now, number one, there's about two things. Number one, you probably don't really understand the character if you're not liking the nature of a dangerous film. The Joker is someone who is unstable, therefore that is the message that it can't help but promote. But it's not supposed to mimic the real world actions of someone who would go and do that anyway. It's just a very contained story about mental health, and that's something that I consider important. Now, secondly, people think this film is dangerous because of the promoting of the violence and because it doesn't really necessarily delve deep enough into mental health for you to understand why he is doing this. I think that's wrong. But also, I think that this film being dangerous is complete bullshit, because some of the films that it's inspired by are dangerous in their own right. Now, two of the films that it's inspired by, without giving too much away, is Taxi Driver and The King of Comedy. Now, I haven't seen The King of Comedy, but I have seen Taxi Driver. And while more of the story is based off Taxi Driver, I do think Taxi Driver is a fantastic yet incredibly dangerous film. Half of what Travis Bickle, or Robert De Niro's character, does in Taxi Driver mimics a lot of what Arthur Fleck is trying to get across. If you haven't seen the end of Taxi Driver, he hurts a lot of innocent people, even though it seems justified in his mind and therefore justifiable to the audience. Half of what makes Joker so impactful is that you can sympathize and empathize with the character and understand why he's doing what he's doing. It doesn't make it right, but when there is a shred of understanding and a shred of sympathy, it's a hard pill to swallow, because as a person, your moral center is questioned, it's challenged, and that's what films should do. Some films are going to be easy to watch, but some films aren't necessarily easy to watch. There are films that go overboard, like a Serbian film, but there are films that are made to challenge the social landscape that we live in. And I think it's just a very important film that came out at the right time, chose the right actor for the job, had some fantastic supporting actors like Robert De Niro in particular. And at the end of the day, I think this film is an instant classic, and I'm not praising it because of all the hype, because of all the positive reviews. I went into this with an open mind. I didn't really want to know much more than the trailers gave me, and I got so much from this film. I'm still thinking about this film to this very day, and I do think that The Joker is one of the best films I've seen in recent memory, and I really do mean that. So thank you so much for watching my review, guys. I hope that you enjoyed the video. If you've seen The Joker, comment down below. And if you liked the video, leave a like down below. And most of all, guys, subscribe and join the journey to 200 subscribers. I thank you so much for your support. Once again, I've been Chunky. Thanks for stopping by my world, and I'll see you soon. Take care.